You are the sweetest thing, yeah. I love all the joy you bring, yeah. But I'm coming back, knocking down the door. I'm coming back, are you ready for more? Are you ready for more? Regrets, oh, I have a few, yeah. I tried to change what I cannot undo, but I'm coming back, knocking down the door. Coming back, are you ready? 'Cause I'm coming back, knocking down the door. Coming back, are you ready for more? Oh, are you ready for more? Oh, are you ready for more? Are you ready for more? And I'm coming back, knocking down the door. Coming back, are you ready? I'm coming back, knocking down the door. Coming back, are you ready? Are you ready for more? Yeah, are you ready for more? Are you ready? Are you ready for more? Are you ready for more?
Well, we've opened up the track a bit from last round's bull ring at Lime Rock. It's not by much. Now we race at the challenging and hilly Laguna Seca here in the 2026 Skip Barber Formula Racing Series. I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Joey Atterbury. Joey, they have really provided some challenging opening rounds for these drivers.
Yeah, starting off back there at Lime Rock and then now going to Laguna Seca. I can't wait to see what the Skip Barber Racing Series is going to provide here. A little bit more of an open track, a little bit more room for these drivers to move around this week here in round number 2.
Even still, it's not exactly known for its passing opportunities, so track position, once again, likely to be a key factor here today. We'll have to watch out, as last time it was a bit of a wreckfest at times with drivers being so urgent to try and get by one another out on the track. So we'll find out how this works out. As like we mentioned, we started off at Lime Rock, and then, of course, things switched up with WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca this week. Then it's off to VIR. They're going to be racing the full course for that. Nice big circuit for the 5th and 6th rounds. Sonoma Raceway will be our 4th event, and then you've got Richmond heading off to some oval racing, which should be fun in these machines. And then wrapping up at Circuit of the Americas, COTA, a major venue here in North America. And drivers have kind of a classic list of races to go to here in this short season. But let's take a look at where they sit, Joey, as we've already got some points on the board.
Yeah, right now it is Caligari leading the way, even though Martin Kadlicik actually won both rounds back at Lime Rock Park. So a little bit of a start penalty, I believe, on race number 2 is what has been applied to that number 7 car. So the points very, very tight up at the top, only 2 points separating first and second. Brandon Hawkins sitting there in third with Gregory Kohler in fourth. Dylan McClements back here in fifth. And if you see the driver flag next to their name, that means they are not going to be racing here today. So everybody that's got the car number next to them is racing here in round number 2. Everybody else is going to have to look forward to later this season to qualify in those hot lap qualifiers to get back in.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that later on, as it's certainly a unique way to go about it. But let's also talk about this circuit. Joey, you've got a lot of experience here.
Yeah, and you mentioned it is very hilly. There is a lot of elevation here at Laguna Seca, 2.23 miles in length, 11 turns. First opened back in the 1950s. And of course, this layout that includes the Andretti hairpin and whatnot first opened in 2008. Back, Matt Busa and Mikel Gotti, the race 1 and race 2 winners from a couple years ago here at Skip Barber. But I think the big thing about this track is with the elevation change, turn number 2, our biggest and best passing opportunity, but also look for turn number 6. That feeds us all the way up into that corkscrew section. And who can forget the corkscrew here at Laguna Seca? From there, it is plunging all the way downhill, all the way to the start-finish stand, Joe.
And I think that corkscrew should elicit a few mistakes, but more so, I'm watching out for that turn 6 that you mentioned, where it's so easy in these lower powered cars trying to stay flat out and take it through that corner. Already we've seen some drivers, like we mentioned, run into trouble in that first race at Lime Rock Park, Joey. And we have to remember that has an effect on the second race, with race 2 lining up according to the finishing position. So how much do you want to make risks in that first race at a track like this, with it being easy to throw things away?
I think you have to. I think you have to move up in terms of that track position no matter what. Now, it is just a pressure-packed filled session. These drivers only have 1 lap to qualify for race number 1. And then, like you said, the finishing results from race number 1 do set the grid for race number 2. So I think you can all kind of start off on the good foot immediately, or you can be buried in the pack. The one thing about Laguna Seca, though, is that you do have more room to race around.
Now, it's extremely difficult to get into this series, but it's not as hard to get involved in the iRacing arcade. It's available now on Steam. It is an absolute hoot. This is for those who want something a little bit more relaxed, more casual, and as you can see, maybe a bit more cute as well. But all kinds of top-level FIA grade tracks that you can race on. in tons of different vehicles, all up and down the order. Just honestly, a really good time. I love seeing iRacing branch out like this, Joey, and offer stuff for, someone who might not be as dedicated as the average sim racer.
It's so much fun to just be able to hop on there and do some laps in a little bit more of a fun environment too. And like you said, branching out iRacing, not just here in the full-on Skip Barber Racing Series simulator world and the top series of what you find in sim racing around the world, but you can also go out there, have fun. I think kind of the key word is cute iRacing.
Yeah, a good way to think of it is it looks like we've got our drivers gridding up as qualifying has wrapped, and Martin Kadlachik is once again on the pole. Matt Caruana going to try and challenge him from the outside. It is Vicente Aparicio starting from third, and Leo Ovtrov in P4. Row 3 sees Guglielmo Caligari starting from fifth. Flavio Dantas to his outside. The Brazilian then has Patrick Kingston starting from seventh and Aiden Young in eighth. After that, row 5 sees Gregory Kohler starting ninth, Pinter Sambi in the 10th position. Outside the top 10, Max Repelust starts in 11th and Brandon Hawken in the 12th position. A few more cars in our 20-car field with John Melchiori in 13th. You've got Reese Willis in 14th. After that, Noah Osbaldiston will be P15. Felipe Dantas starting 16th today. Declan Webb returns to the series. He'll start 17th. Kanish Martin starts in 18th. And the final two sees Bryce Wire in 19th and Marcel Warax in 20th. The other thing that this track is kind of known for, Joey, is that first lap down into the Andretti hairpin. You got to keep your wits about you. How do you attack that with everybody so eager to try and make up spots?
I think in these cars, you got to be careful about that inside line. Here we have our race analysis. We already got done with our one lap qualifying. We're about to feed into our first of our two 15-minute races, and we already talked about how race number 1 sets the grid for race number 2. The other thing that we didn't mention yet, Joe, is that all of these cars and drivers, they are using a fixed setup that is pretty much spec racing to a T. And of course, the leader does control the field coming to that green flag.
Got to imagine it's going to be as soon as you are out of that final corner. If you're the leader, you got to try and take off. But we'll see whether or not Kadlachik is going to agree or if he's going to try and hold them up to limit the slipstream down into the first hairpin, which is technically turn number 2 out here at the Andretti hairpin. They round the final corner here at Laguna Seca, and Martin now has control. He does not go immediately. He's holding them for a bit, and now he has the green flag, and we've got a bit of a jump behind, but they're immediately covering the inside as drivers are trying to make sure that nobody is able to get room. That's causing a huge checkup. Look at them. They're almost nose to tail all the way to the back of the field, 4 wide into the hairpin. No incidents quite yet, and somehow they'll get away with it.
They are making this Laguna Seca racetrack as wide as possible. I'm with you. I think I saw at least 4 wide on the exit of what is turn number 2, but our leader is Matt Caruana exiting out of turn number 4, the run to turn number 5, slight banking here in this next left-hander, and a passing opportunity for some of those a little bit further back.
Martin did not get the greatest of starts, so Caruana, now your leader, as Joey mentioned, has the valuable track position. This is up through turn 6. Look at him all the way up to the edge there. You can easily throw it away, tipping a wheel off to the side. But what about the corkscrew? The midfield still very much side by side. It's tough to go through there. Wheel to wheel, we saw last week. Chicane's wheel to wheel action, it is not good in open wheelers, but somehow they'll carry on.
We are seeing a very similar picture to what we saw from Lime Rock Park, where the leaders, call it the top 5, maybe top 7, trying to break away in single file. But this mid-pack fight is just tooth and nail back here, 2 wide, 3 wide, and it is still a hornet's nest.
It's Baldiston and Hawken having quite a fight there for the 10th spot, but I think they're finally single file. Look at what this has done for the top 2, though. Caruana and Kadlachik have essentially run away. He might be able to be reeled in by Aparicio, who currently sits in 3rd, but he's going to have to hustle here and hope that he's not having to play a rear guard himself. We ride on board with the Brit, looking backwards at Martin.
And of course, Matt, very familiar. He is a regular name here in this Skip Barber Racing Series, always up towards the front. Didn't necessarily have the best round, number 1 at Lime Rock Park, but he is in some fresh and clean air. And if there's one thing that we did learn from those opening couple rounds, clean air can be king, especially when it gets so busy.
We're going to go wheel to wheel through turn 6 as well. They're actually making contact slightly, but it looks like Wire is going to come out ahead. And then behind them, Zombie is just plugged up. He's got no place to go, as Osbaldiston is trying to not only fight one car, but 2 at the same time. He nearly loses it out of the corkscrew.
Oh, and then Zombie there took a look down the inside, got a replay on the bottom part of the screen here. That was going through what I believe turn number 10 on the opening lap, and that's what dropped one of our runners so far down. I believe that was Reese Wills in the number 15. As more action, oh my goodness, going through turn number 11. It is erupting out onto the front straightaway.
Well, Chiori thought he could maybe pull a smooth move there, but now he is kind of stuck on the inside behind Zombie. Dantas in front of that, Felipe Dantas. Oh, and he actually gets turned, and they're going to go off course, and that is it for the 2 of them on this race. One of them on his lid. That is Pinter Zombie.
Unfortunate that we had the incident down there at the Andretti hairpin. You could almost kind of forecast that with how they were racing on the front straightaway. I'm sure we'll get a replay of exactly that. I can say that the other car involved, the number 10 of Dantas, has pulled off on the side of the track, as well as we jump back to this fight, I believe is for 7th place.
So, yeah, Felipe Dantas also, like you said, having to take a tow and race for 7th. As it's being led by Gregory Kohler currently. That's Hingston, Repulust, and Hawken in behind him. Still very close, all up on the gearboxes of one another. The place probably, Joey, that you don't want to be that close is coming out of the final turn down the main straight, where you've at least got a little bit of the slipstream.
And you know, while we do actually have just a minute to catch our breath, something noticing on timing and scoring, that is Caligari. He started up inside the top 5. He is down 11 positions, buried into 16th place right now. That's our championship leader, not having a good race number 1 here at Laguna Seca.
Little bit of a look around the outside there, and it looks like Repulust is going to come out ahead of Hingston, who finds himself under attack now by Brandon Hawken. Coming into turn 3, they're going to get back to single file as they exit there. Down through 4, keeping the foot to the floor here, and you can see the cars just kicking up the dirt on the outside as they use up every inch of track. This is that 3-wide moment coming through the final turn that amazingly they got away with.
And it was mainly the number 6 and the number 10 car on the bottom of the screen going into turn number 2 that were the 2 major parties affected here. And I just think it's an accordion effect. Yeah, just everybody jumping on the brakes. Maybe one car thinking they could go a little bit deeper, and just front to rear end contact. Really unfortunate for the parties involved.
Open wheel cars don't do well with contact typically, even though these learner cars effectively are pretty robust. Really not made to try and bang wheels that much. Caruana still leading ahead of Kadlachik ever since the drop of the green. Is Martin able to get by? I think is the big question here. Does he have the pace to retake that position? And if he does, is he biding his time, or is this as fast as he can go?
I think he's playing a very, very smart game as we jump on board the number 13 of Brandon Hawken, currently in that 10th place position, chasing down Patrick Hingston. But to your point, Joe, I think that Kadlachik and Caruana are just going to stay nose to tail. They're not going to fight it out. After all, Matt Caruana didn't have the best points round at Lime Rock Park, so I think that Kadlachik is totally okay just turning laps for now and not racing.
Yeah, they're still less than 2 seconds ahead of the rest of the field, so they probably want to try and stretch this out as much as they can. Speaking of stretching it out, they're going to stretch it wide with Kohler on the inside down into turn 6. Repulust has to actually edge out Hingston, who falls backwards behind Hawken. Hawken has the run, but he's going to be on the wrong side of the track up into the corkscrew. This usually does not end well, but he at least is given some space, and somehow Repulust will come out with 8th.
That put a smile on my face. Brandon Hawken out there, who we were riding on board with, got extremely aggressive, just had the seas part for him up out of turn number 6, made some great drafting moves, and then hung on to it around the outside of the corkscrew, and now he struggles a little bit to put the power down. That's going to give Patrick Hinkston in that green highlights car sitting in the slipstream a decent run here on the front straightaway. He is close enough. You see Hawken go defensive and really late on the brakes and not close enough to make the move.
Just shows you how tough it is. I mean, it was practically rear wing to the wheels of that car, and yet he was not able to outbrake him. Now, if you want more information on this series, log on to skipbarber.com/iRacing-series today. You too can get involved and try and see if you can make it with some of the best in this Formula car here on the Skip Barber Series. Race for third currently sees Aparicio up at the front of it. Flavio Dantas, Ovtcharov, and Young still trailing behind.
I had mentioned that Matt Caruana is a pretty regular name here in the series. Another one, Leo Ovtcharov. He has gone back a couple of years as well. So great to see Leo having a good day, sitting inside the top 5. Like you mentioned, this is the fight for the final podium position, and they've actually closed it in on Martin Kadlicek just a little bit as we ride on board Aiden Young here in the number 4 car. And I can report that Kadlicek almost threw it away all by himself on this lap in turn number 4. These cars and drivers, they try to make this Laguna Seca racetrack as wide as possible, including use of those entry curbs. He just got out a little bit wide and is lucky to still be on the racetrack.
Ooh, there's a look to the inside by Aiden Young. He's actually able to get the overlap, but Ovtcharov will hang tough, and he's not going to give him enough space to sneak through completely. Ovtcharov with over 8,000 I rating to back up his name. He's going to be one tough cookie to overtake.
Well, and Aiden Young is another one of those names that has competed in this series before, and I know that these are opening rounds, you know, round number 2 here at Laguna Seca, but they did race at Lime Rock Park, and so some of these drivers trying to fill up some of those points that they maybe didn't acquire earlier on a couple weeks ago.
Checking back into that battle for 7th, being led by Kohler. That got really spicy just a couple laps ago up to this spot here at the corkscrew, but it stays single file this time back down the hill. Can't really see much inside of these cars as you come over that crest, and the track completely disappears in front of you. But this race for third, let's see, they have actually caught up a little bit. I wonder if that's because of Martin's incident that you mentioned. It's down to about 1.5 seconds at times.
Here's the thing. You had asked if Caruana and Kadlicek are just kind of hanging out. I think that Kadlicek has the pace. That last time, a 121.8. I'm going through the entire list of names down here. There is nobody else that has turned a 121, at least during the course of the race here. Everybody is at 122s or slower, so I do think that Kadlicek is just patiently waiting. He's making up the ground now as Ovtcharov gets about as close as you possibly can to Aiden Young, who had just made the pass to put himself inside the top 5.
I was just noticing that. It seems like you have to be extremely comfortable racing in close quarters in these cars. Ovtcharov losing to Aiden Young, who is now up to 5th. They'll swing their way through turn 6 and try to carry the speed, the momentum up this incredibly steep hill. But look at all the ground that they lost just in that one little fight up to P3 and P4.
Go down through the corkscrew, and it is all downhill from the corkscrew all the way to the start-finish line. Kind of plateaus and flattens out right here after what is turn number 10, but then once again you have a little bit of a dip in elevation downhill after turn number 11 as you drive towards the start-finish stand, and then you go back uphill towards turn number 1, plunge it back down towards the Andretti hairpin. You were mentioning all of the elevation, and that's something that this racetrack, you have to get used to it, as well as some of those blind corners over at the corkscrew in turn 6.
Man, you weren't kidding about Martin having the pace. He is back up to 0.2 of a second behind Caruana. He has gobbled up that gap and could go back on the attack if he so desired. They're up to about 2.6 seconds ahead now. So things have gotten interesting as we continue to watch Aparicio versus Dantas, as well as Young versus Ovtcharov. But now we switch back to the battle for 7th. Once again, Repulust ahead of the side-by-side between Hawken and Kohler. Kohler to the inside of turn 5. He's going to take the spot, but the job is not done. Will Hawken back out of it? He indeed will.
I think that was the smart move, and actually Kohler might have gone a little bit over speeding into the entry of 6. Now Brandon Hawken's going to be on the wrong side of the road. We've seen him be crazy deep on the brakes. He's still side by side. Now he's got the advantage going down the hill. You saw him stacked up 2 by 2 behind him, but Brandon Hawken back up into 8th.
Keep wondering about Osbaldiston at the back of this group. Is he kind of waiting to see what happens up in front of himself? He doesn't have much time left, though, if he wants to try and make a move. And, in fact, now he is going to try and make a move. It's a little bit of contact while they also wheel-to-wheel fight between Kohler and Hawkins once again and make it a drag race up the hill across the start-finish line. They have actually pulled away from that group behind by just a little bit. 3 cars contact in front between Hawken and Kohler, and I think Hawken will get it, but it's still not done between Osbaldiston and Wire, who goes almost 4 wheels off the track out of turn 2, switching back into 3's, got the inside, and Wire is going to get his elbows out, nearly pushing Noah off the course.
And we're 3 wide for what is 4th place up here in turn number 5. They just sorted it out, but oh my goodness, the action is erupting later in the race. I mean, you blink twice in these 15-minute races. I mean, we're under 2 minutes to go out here. Should be about 2 laps remaining by the time the leader gets to the start-finish line.
Yeah, you cannot waste a single minute around this lap. And back up to Kadlachik. He is in front. When did he get by Caruana?
I'm going back and looking. I believe it happened in turn number 1 this lap. So now we're really going to see the speed of that number 7 car. In race number 1 of round number 1, he was the class of the field. And this is the first time that we've seen Kadlachik have completely clean air. And it's the final lap of the race.
So this looks to be where that pass happened. Door was open just enough. He got his foot over the threshold, and there wasn't much fight from Caruana, interestingly. They did not change positions back at that same corner this lap, and it's hard from here on out to try and overtake. There's a couple chances. If it was you, Joey, where would you try and make it happen?
I'd probably look towards turn number 11. I think that, yes, you can try to force the issue in the corkscrew, but try to eliminate any other possibilities on the run towards the line. That means your last possible moment, that's the last corner on the racetrack.
Oh, on the edge of control there, Matt, dipping 2 wheels on the outside of turn 6. They slam on the brakes up at the corkscrew, and it's back downhill once again. He's close, so he could try and make a dive. Question is, will he be covered off? Will Martin immediately go down to the inside, or is he going to try and go for the launch off the corner? As they come down towards turn 11, he'll leave it open, but Matt is not there. He wasn't close enough. Kadlachik is only going to lead 2 laps of this race, but it's 2 of the most important ones, as the first race goes to Martin Kadlachik. Caruana will follow him home, and Aparicio gets a solid 3rd.
Aiden Young chases him home in 4th place. Flavio Dantas finishes with a nice top 5 back here. We'll watch the rest of this field come across the start-finish line. It was a little bit similar to the races that we had a couple weeks ago, where it really was the top 3 trying to stretch itself out, but this mid-pack fight didn't matter if it was lap number 1 or minute number 15. It did not give up the entire time.
Whew, it was a frantic first race. Thankfully, it looked a little cleaner than what we saw at Lime Rock, but it was Kadlachik who came home the winner. Caruana in 2nd, only 0.3 of a second behind. Vicente Aparicio was 3rd. You've got Aiden Young in 4th, with Flavio Dantas finishing 5th today. Ovtcharov, a little far down for him there in 6th. Max Repulust was in the midst of a lot of battling in 7th. Same thing with Hawken and Kohler, 8th and 9th, and Kingston rounds out your top 10. Osbaldiston outside of those top 10 and 11th, Webb in 12th. Then we get the drivers we didn't see as much of. Kinish Martin in 13th, Marcel Marax 14th, and Bruce Wire P15. Guglielmo Caligari was 16th, Reese Willis 17th, John Melchiori the last one to see the finish, with Felipe Dantas, Pinter Zombie finishing in a DNF today. And Joey, it sounds like you've got Caruana with you.
Yeah, joined with Matt Caruana here in booth, finishing second here in race number 1 at Laguna Seca. Now, you had the lead the majority of the time. Were you a little bit worried about Kadlecik's speed during that entire time as well?
Yeah, I mean, he was really quick. Credit to him. I feel like the car is a bit nicer to drive in the dirty, to be honest, because it just gets rid of the loose end. But yeah, no, I'm happy. I didn't really want to crash or anything, and after the week I had last week, I'll take a P2 any day.
Well, we were mentioning that a little bit, trying to rebound on that points day. Is that kind of the goal going into race number 2 here, is to try to keep it nice and clean and on the podium?
Yeah, I mean, ideally I just want to get back on the podium. I mean, a win would be really nice just to boost me a few more points, but I'm not going to do anything risky to guarantee it.
Well, we enjoy watching you race out there. We'll let you go, and good luck in race number 2 out there, Matt.
Thank you. Cheers.
And now I believe that we'll have Martin Kadlecik here very shortly, joining us here for his post-race interview. Actually, we're going to go ahead and head to our break right before we get back to the action with race number 2 here at Laguna Seca.
Experience the world's most legendary racing events with iRacing. iRacing special events allow any member to compete in full-length multiplayer races based on some of the biggest events in motorsports all year round. Compete in virtual endurance races such as the Daytona 24, Spa 24, and the Nürburgring 24 Hours. Take on some of the toughest races on the NASCAR schedule, such as the Daytona 500. We have events from disciplines all across the racing world, from the Indianapolis 500 to the Chili Bowl, from the Bathurst 1000 to the Crandon Championship. Our endurance special events utilize iRacing's team feature, where members can sign up and race together on their own team, swapping drivers throughout the race. Other events utilize iRacing Super Sessions, where you're not only racing against those on track, but against every driver taking part. And as every race progresses, watch and feel the track change with progressive time of day, dynamic weather and rain, and dynamic track debris and surface changes. Take on your favorite discipline or try a brand new racing challenge with our biggest races of the year, the iRacing Special Events. Learn more at iracing.com/special-events.
Race 1 is down, and now we'll head off to race 2 here shortly at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. You are once again watching the Skip Barber Formula Racing Series, the 2026 edition. And Joey, I think what struck me the most on that first race was the side-by-side racing seemed to be extremely good out there. There was a lot of 3 wide moments that normally I feel like would have wound up in disaster, but space was given.
I think that's the reason why these are some of the best drivers, I should say, the best Formula drivers that we've got here on iRacing. This, of course, is our race analysis, 1 lap of qualifying, and we are going into our second of our 2 15-minute timed races. And the results from race number 1 that we just had will set our grid for race number 2. And, of course, how you get into this is qualifying. You have to be in that top 20 in those hot lap qualifiers just to even take place in this race, Joe. And that goes to your point of how good the racing is.
Those that had a bad race on the first one are going to be at a bit of a disadvantage as the grid is set here. And it is Kadlecic who will now start on pole for the second time. Caruana jumped him last time. Can he do it again from P2? Aparicio will start from third with Aiden Young in fourth. Flavio Dantas fifth. Leo Obtrov in the sixth position. Then down in seventh, it's Max Repulust with Brandon Hawken to his outside. Row 5 sees Gregory Kohler and Patrick Kingston round out the top 10. Noah Isbaldeston will start 11th and Declan Webb will be 12th. Row 7 has Kenish Martin in the 13th spot. Marcel Marax will start 14th and Bruce Wire in 15th. Guglielmo Caligari, I'll get his name right one of these days, 16th, as 15th goes to Reese Willis, and John Melchiori will start in 18th. You've got Felipe Dantas and Pinter Sambi, who were DNFs on race number 1, having to start from the back, Joey.
It'll be very interesting to see how these drivers approach race number 2. If you're trying to get any points, you need to grab them right now. And of course, this is what they're driving for, those championship prizes. First through third place in the championship will receive a 3-day Skip Barber Racing School and also their coaching program. And I think most importantly, the entry into that Skip Barber Racing School Formula Car Shootout. We saw Ivan Machado be successful with that. Fourth and fifth place, you're not going home empty-handed. You also get a 1-day Skip Barber Racing School ticket. And then this is per race, folks. If you're a hard charger, it doesn't matter what race it is in, you get a day session over there at Skip Barber. Pretty cool prizes on the line here.
Yeah, Joey and I have got to see those firsthand, and it is extremely cool to see these drivers go from iRacing to out on the track in these cars and get to experience them at some of the major circuits around North America. As it looks like the safety car getting ready to head out and lead us on this short lap. Now, I'm kind of curious, Joey. Last time Kadlecic waited a while before he went. I wonder if he's going to change it up this time since it didn't quite work well for him.
Now, one of the rules that Skip Barber does have is that the leader cannot just launch as soon as the pace car enters pit lane. They actually have to wait for that green flag to be displayed from Barney. That's exactly why we saw the delay on the start, but you're right, it went to the advantage of the outside row. We'll see if it does the same thing here in race 2.
Everybody in back trying to get as close as they can, and there is the green flag, and that causes one car in the very back to actually have a bit of contact there, and I think they caught the inside wall. We'll see if they have damages. The rest of them file down, and once again, Matt Caruana is ahead of Kadlecic before they even get to the first corner. This time, though, Aiden Young round the outside. He's going to get the inside into turn 3, and he is going to move himself up 2 positions before they even get to the third corner.
Oh, my goodness, and 4 wide is not going to work out, or is it? I think we've got a wreck a little bit further in the back, exiting turn number 4. There's the catastrophe on the racetrack. There were 4 wide going into it, but you're right. Matt Caruana once again with the whole shot on that green flag, leads the field up the hill for the first time.
The master of the start so far in this series for Caruana, at least when it comes to Laguna Seca, and now he's even got a buffer between himself and Kadlecic, who he's trying to play catch-up on in the points, remember. So this is a very good day for him so far. Could have been maybe a bit better having beat him in the first one, but it at least is looking good in this stage of race number 2. They've also got Vicente sitting in fourth, watching and waiting. They have not broken away like we saw last time. It is now a 4-car fight at the front.
And it really is, call it a 9-car train. I'm not even going to call it a 4-car fight, because all the way back to 9th place, it is all still within slipstream range. That means these drivers are using that draft to close in on the car in front of them down these straightaways. And here at Laguna Seca, it's known as a little bit of a tighter, twistier, technical racetrack. But in these entry-level formula cars, you can really utilize the width. And it's almost like a go-kart at your local track out there, really slinging up these speeds. Here's the replay of the start. They're going to be 3 wide around the outside at turn number 2, Joe, but it's actually going into turn number 3. They forced the issue 4 wide.
Yeah, I could kind of see that one coming, and it did siphon down to 3, but that's still just a little bit too much on that corner that tightens on the exit, and you can see it's difficult to make out what you do in that situation. And for Hingston, Wire, Willis, and Ovcharov, they came out the worst on it. They are out of this race.
Honestly, I'm pretty surprised that we only had a few cars involved in that. I mean, that was towards the front of the midfield on the opening lap in turn 3 and 4. So I think a great job, tip of the cap to all the other drivers in their avoidance maneuvers.
I think Repulus did come out pretty bad on it as well. Off screen, he's got a missing rear wing and is trying to limp back around. And then I think Greg Kohler also a bit behind because of the opening incident. Everybody else still running. Look down to the inside from Kadlecic, down into the hairpin. And just like that, he's back ahead of Young.
Right on board with the number 8 of Flavio Dantas here. He's trying to make up a little bit of ground to go catch that top 4 that's trying to break away. I did want to mention this number 8 driver because he was one of the guys that made it 3 wide immediately on the green flag. He had mentioned that maybe a little bit of contact on that inside wall, but apparently Dantas is okay with the performance out of this machine. And right now he's just trying to not let that group extend that gap just a little bit more. He wants to stay within that 1 second to help him pull himself down the straightaway.
One driver that's really taken advantage of some of the chaos is Pinter Sambi, who had to start from the back. He's up to 7th. I will say, though, he was on the inside of that 3 wide incident. So we saw a penalty for the start on one of our drivers, Kadlecic, actually, last round. So I wonder if he's going to experience similar since he got a bit of a jump start. Don't quote me on that. That's up for the stewards to decide as we continue to follow with Osbaldiston trying to play catch up to this front 2 groups.
Aiden Young doing a terrific job hanging out there in 3rd place, and now maybe a little bit of a poke to the outside. I don't think that was Kadlecic saying, hey, I want to get past. I think he was just getting a little bit too close in that accordion effect, so he popped out drivers, right, kind of in a non-threatening manner, saying, hey, Matt, I'm not trying to pass you. I just want to stay as close as possible here. I like what we did in race number 1, and we're able to race away from the rest of the group. The problem is Aiden Young in that number 4 car is staying right on the back of Kadlecic this time.
And so is Vicente in the number 14 behind him. Dantas could catch up as well. Flavio Dantas in the number 8. They're about 0.8 of a second behind, and they're actually behaving pretty well in that second group, so I wouldn't count it out. Here's a good run from the 7. Is Martin, no, he just hooks up to the back of him and gives him a hello.
Yeah, it's a little bit of form of bump drafting out there, and typically we don't see any pushing or bump drafting at Laguna Seca. We will see these Formula cars do that in terms of teamwork at, call it, longer straightaway racetracks, somewhere like Road America, Road Atlanta, but you see the confidence between these top 2 drivers they have between each other.
And that's one thing that you can definitely get away with here in the sim that I don't think they should do in the real Skip Barber. They highly stress no contact in these cars that they race in the real Skip Barber school. But the race for the lead between Kadlecic and Caruana seems to be at a semi-truce for the time being, while the battle for 6 might not see the same as Hawken is ahead of Sambi, who needs to get some good results after he comes away with few points in that first race.
And crucially, this race for 6 on the bottom part of the screen, they're not too far out of that top 4, call it top 5, right? And so I think that if they stay together and don't race it out side by side, it's pretty much going to be one long train as we jump on board the number 15 of Aparicio out here. I mentioned the width of this racetrack and the drivers using every single millimeter. I think turn number 6 is a great example of it. You just got to open up the corner as much as you possibly can to carry the momentum in these Formula cars.
Vicente was a 10th quicker than Aparicio last time by. And so I think if he keeps doing that, he should get within the slipstream before this is over. We're already about halfway through the race. But we're starting lap 6 now, so he's going to have enough time, if he can just keep chipping away, that he'll join the fray. But then it's going to be all kinds of chaos because he'll be bringing along some friends, and it's going to be something like 8 cars in the lead group, and there is how the points come out. So if you finish in 20th, it's a mere 11 points compared to the 35 for the win.
And really, this top 4 in our current running order right now is going to be very, very happy, at least if they're able to finish in that same kind of top 4 finishing positions with their points this round at Laguna Seca. There are several drivers that didn't have the best opening round a couple weeks ago, so they're looking to capitalize on these points, just like we heard Matt Caruana talk in between race number 1 and race number 2. The name that's missing from inside that top 5, even inside that top 10, where is Caligari? He's buried all the way back in 11th place. That was our championship leader coming into today.
That's not looking good for him. And you also have to take into account, like we said, you have to requalify into this series each week. So the drivers cannot even guarantee that they'll get a chance to score points. You got to make sure that you get what you can when you're out there on the track. As we got all kinds of battles happening, both the race for the lead with multiple cars, the race for 6, just about having caught up to them. And then the race for 13th farther down, being led by Melchiori and Morox fighting for the Baker's Dozen spot.
We always talk about consistency and speed when it comes to driving and racing out there. I'm just going to label off a couple of these lap times from inside the top 5. 22.1 from our leader. Second, 22.0. Third, 22.0. Fourth, 21.96. Fifth, 21.14. Like, it is just unbelievable how close in times that each one of these drivers are.
The good news for Vicente was about 2/10 quicker, maybe a little less than 2/10 than P5. So he stretched it out once again. Maybe just him staying patient, watching that trio in front of him has helped him not to lose as much time to Flavio that last lap around. They'll hit the corkscrew once again. And this is going to be, I think, a little bit more complicated if you're a Kadlachik, Joey, because last time it was 1v1. This time, if he doesn't make the pass, then he's going to be awful vulnerable.
I was just about to point that out as we ride on board with Pinter Zombie back here in 7th place. Call him the caboose on the train. But to your question, Joe, yeah, it's a little bit of a different atmosphere for Caruana and Kadlachik out front. In race number 1, they were by themselves, so they could kind of duke it out and make it nice and clean. But you're right, Aiden Young, same thing with Aparicio, right on the rear wing of those top 2. So not only do they have to play offense, talking about Kadlachik, but he's also got to be careful about leaving the door too far open.
Pinter's really made the best of his situation here, currently up 13 spots from where he started. And then we're back to Kenish Martin. He's only up 1 from where he started. And unfortunately, he's not even barely in the slipstream right now with the car ahead. He might only just feel it. He's going to have to hustle to catch up to this battle for 10th place.
And what's wild is I mentioned the leaders lap times, a 22.1 that last time by. Riding on board with Martin back here, a 22.3. I mean, 0.2 of a second. That's all it is, 0.2 of a second. But look at how fast those guys are up front.
I didn't get a chance to check the qualifying difference, but I can tell you in practice, there was 0.9 between all 20 cars. In fact, I think the top 10 was split by a quarter of a second. So yeah, these really are the best of the best that you've got to be on it, or else you're going to be many positions behind. As John currently looks back at Morox, we talked about these two fighting for 13th, but we're going to look away from them once again, back up at our leaders. And is this where Kadlachik finally starts to give a go for it? He's closer than before. No, he lifts by the time they get to the braking, so he's not calling it quite yet.
It's starting to be crunch time, and I believe it was about lap number 10, maybe lap number 11, that Kadlachik made the move in race number 1. And while the ADDs got the best of me, we were watching Melchiori back there with his onboard camera. It certainly seemed like he had some driver's helmets back there, and he's based in the States. I wonder what racing he actually does out there as we catch back in with our top 4.
So as we watch them come up the hill, Joey and I were trying to figure out whether or not the Dantes were related. They're both from Brazil. Based on the appearances, I'm going to say there's some sort of relation going on.
I think that these, if they're not twins, they are very close brothers. I do think they are in separate households, though, because the floor is not the same.
It's a good catch on that one. But regardless, They certainly have a very similar appearance. Unfortunately, it's not been similar results in both races. In fact, it's kind of flip-flopped around between them as to who's had a good race. Nearly pushing the leader through the final corner. Kadlachik is getting awful close, but I think that may have cost him a bit of momentum. He's now suddenly well far behind Caruana, and Aiden Young is on his heels as a bit behind. Pinter Zombie and Hawkins are dueling over 6. I think that's Pinter who is going to manage to keep that P6, but Hawkins obviously keeping him on his toes.
Yeah, Pinter, though, well, while we got kind of time closing out, Zombie's doing a terrific job. He is our biggest mover of the race, plus 14. And like we covered with those prizes, hard charger is something that you want to go grab.
I guess that's a little bit of consolation there for him, that he's been able to pick up that opportunity. Not something you can exactly earn if you're starting up towards the front. Top 4 still have not spread apart. Martin may have lost a little bit on the main straight, but he's gained it right back, and he is there. It's going to be white flag this time by. Will he make the pass into turn 2 on the last lap?
Is the run down Rainy Curve, turn number 9. Car is so loaded up, and then you got to carry that momentum through turn number 10 here. Once again, some natural banking built into that corner. Matt Caruana in a very, very familiar position. Clean air out front, but the problem is the number 7 car of Kadlachik was able to nail the exit of turn number 11 perfectly. This might be the run that he's looking for. White flag, 1 lap to go.
Last time Matt did not defend. This time he did. And covering the inside seems to have helped out. A little bit of a cut back underneath. There's no room at the end for the 7. And that costs him a bit of an exit as Aiden Young nearly gets him in the process. They don't change positions, but I don't think this one is over yet.
It definitely choked up Aiden Young, like you were saying, but I think props to that number 4 car that he didn't force the issue into turn number 3. I think he knows that Kadlachik wants the race win, and there might be an opportunity a little bit further on in this lap here, but I'm looking towards the corkscrew or turn number 11.
I think 11's got to be it. If you're trying it in the corkscrew, it's a recipe for disaster, but Martin disagrees. He looks briefly, and then he backs out of it, causes a defense from Matt once again, down through the chicane, nearly gets into the back of him, looks to launch off, coming around the outside of Rainy Curve. Nothing doing there, just too hard to find the grip on the outside of that swift left-hander. Now it is into the final turn. Once again, Matt defends as he holds off Kadlachik, but look down the inside. Aiden Young almost able to take P2 away, but this time Matt Caruana will get his revenge. He gets his first win of the season.
A wonderful top 4 fight that kept it clean, and look at this 3-wide race to the line. I believe that was the race for what is 5th place, and Flavio Dantas barely hangs on to it by 4/100ths of a second over Pinter Zombie and Brandon Hawk, and those were those 3 cars as the rest of the field is going to come up and over and finish out this race. A little bit of unfortunate news here for the number 9 car. Max, I believe, has lost his rear wing at some point in today's race.
That was right at the very beginning. I didn't realize he was still circulating. Credit to Max to stick with this and try to see the finish. He could have just parked that one knowing that it was unlikely he'd get another position before this race is over. And I like this stick-to-it attitude anytime I see a driver make sure they get to the checkered flag. So here is what I'm assuming that battle for 5th between Dantas, Zombie, and Hawken. And it was about 6 to 7/100ths of a second between them at the line. Starts off actually in turn 10, Joey, and then gets even wilder down at 11.
And got to remember that it was Zombie that has made his way up plus 14. And then look at this drag race to the line. Usually we get the side-by-side 2 wide, but rarely do you get 3 wide going to the line at Laguna Seca. Just a great job all around. Yeah, the elbows were out trying to posture themselves in terms of position on the racetrack, but they all made it to the flag.
And it was Matt Caruana who was first to that flag over Martin Kadlachik in second. So they swap positions in each race. Aiden Young will get the podium as Vicente Aparicio will at least get 4th today, even though he was one position up last time. Flavio Dantas came out ahead in that 3-wide fight. Pinter Zombie with a brilliant undercut to get that 6th spot. And it was Brandon Hawken who came out 7th. Declan Webb was 8th. Noah Espaldason was in 9th. Guglielmo Caligari rounds out your top 10. Felipe Dantas, a little bit of a better finish, though, for both of the Dantases in race 2 compared to the first one. He was 11th. Martin was 12th. Melchiori in 13th. Marcel Marox P14 with Gregory Kohler in the 15th spot. Max Repulus, the last one to see the checkered flag. Willis, Offtroff, Kingston, and Wire were DNFs in race number 2. Sounds like, Joey, you have caught up with Matt for a second time.
Yeah, well, Matt, one step higher on the podium this time. It's got to feel good after a race win.
Yeah, no, I'm extremely happy with that. I got the lead off the start again, which, to be honest, wasn't really my plan. I feel like like I said before, the car's better in P2, but yeah, no, I'm really happy. After last week, I can't complain at the results I've had tonight. But yeah, no, I'm extremely happy.
Well, since you brought it up, let's talk about that start, because it was a whole shot race 1 and race 2. You had the confidence around the outside. Is it just, forcing him down to the inside and pinching him there in turn number 2? Or was it just timing that green flag?
Yeah, I think that time. Well, I think obviously I've probably had a little bit more experience in this championship with the starts than Kalachik, so he's probably not used to the green flag start. But yeah, I feel like the prep in order leading up to it was good, so I sort of knew around when it was going to drop. So yeah.
Well, a great points weekend for you out here, Matt. Thank you for coming out and racing with us, and we look forward to watching you race here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Cheers.
Now we're going to be joined by Aiden Young, who finished in 3rd place here in race number 2 on the podium here. How are you feeling?
Pretty good. I'm going to be honest, I was not expecting that. I had a little issue before the race a few days ago, and I managed to get everything sorted. So I didn't get as much practice as I'd like, but I mean, to come in and then I screwed my quality a little bit, but I kind of see a pattern with that for me. But the race was good. I had fun. Just tried to focus on what was ahead of me, gain the spot, and get the points to try and help me out in the championship after that horrendous round 1 I had.
Well, and this is not your first time in this championship, and like you said, Lime Rock wasn't necessarily your best opening round out there. How important was it to bag these championship points, knowing that you've got so many races to go?
It was definitely important. I mean, obviously we're going to get drops, so it's even more important that, I try and get some good results on the board, because that's just going to boost my points up as much as possible. So, I mean, looking at it right now, round 1 is definitely my drop, so far at least, and hopefully it kind of stays that way. But yeah, looking into the next round, VIR, love that track, going to try and have some fun with it. Now it's just full focus to there, and then when time comes, we have some fun.
Well, Aiden, it's always a pleasure watching you out there. We look forward to watching you here in the rounds to come. Good luck out there.
Thank you.
And I believe we've got one more interview. Vicente Aparicio has joined us. He finished just off of the podium in race number 2 out here. How are you feeling after Laguna Seca rounds?
Oh, I feel super excited. I'm very happy with the result, taking into account my rivals, the experience they have here. So I'm overall very happy with the result. It's good points towards the championship, and overall, of course, after not a really good result in Lime Rock, but yeah, I'm very happy overall.
Now, the opening round, Lime Rock, and then this round at Laguna Seca, a little bit smaller, tighter, twistier tracks, but we go to VIR next, the full course at VIR. Do you feel like you'll still be able to put up the same type of performance at that type of racetrack?
Yeah, of course. It's going to be in Virginia. It's going to be even better. I'm pretty sure that's one of my best tracks, and I'm going to be fighting for the win. I have no doubt about that.
I love the confidence from you. We look forward to watching you race out there. Thank you so much for coming out and joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Well, Joe, that wraps up our post-race interviews. And I mean, talk about some racing here at Laguna Seca. These drivers put on a great show for us.
Boy, did they ever, but it is Kadlachik who has now come away with the points lead because of those results. Brandon Hawken, I think he's been the sneaky one in all this. He's been consistent in both of the races, and that's meant that he is now up into second, with Caligari slipping from the lead after the first two races to now sitting down in third. But Caruana, he's doing damage control, and he's mentioned it. He's aware. He's going to have to do everything he can. That at least jumps him up to fourth, but he's 31 points. That is nearly a win's worth away from Kadlachik after 4 races. From there on down, you can see we still have some great battles. Young and Aparicio tied on points down in 6th and 7th. So, Joey, I'm looking forward to this season. It's quick, it's fast, and clearly it's competitive.
You kind of already read my mind. I see 25 points that Kadlachik has over second place, but remember those championship prizes. It's not just your winner, but those top 3 really get the lion's share. And I mean, that fight for second and third and fourth place, it's only separated by 5 points out of that handful of drivers right there. So watch out the rest of the season.
And of course, as we mentioned, that next race going to be at Virginia International Raceway. If you want to take part, don't forget that we've got the Hot Lap qualifier May 29th to May 31st. And then the race is going to be taking place on June 4th next week at 7 p.m. Eastern. Make sure and tune in if you don't manage to qualify in, because if you thought today's racing was chaotic, it's going to be wild with these long straights allowing so many slipstream battles over there in Old Dominion. Look forward to seeing that one start to kick off. Kind of one of your home tracks, Joey.
I absolutely love Virginia International Raceway. Spent about 10 years out there in Virginia. Know that racetrack like the back of my hand. And hey, look, they even got the paved paddock out here in iRacing as well.
All right, so with our classic circuits here in North America taking us kind of across the map, it is going to be fun when we return in a week's time. In the meantime, we thank you for joining us and joining in on the fun. I'm Joe Peak. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.